to the Jamaica Selectboard meeting for Monday, April 28th. It is 7:01 p.m. Thank you. It is our regular meeting. So first item of business is to call for any late additions to the agenda. Seeing none, I will move to approve the minutes from the March 24th. Is that right? Did I fail to change that?
It should be
I
April
did.
14th.
It should be April 14th. I thought I did change that. Sorry. No. The April 14th. So I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the April 14th regular meeting of the Select Board.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? No? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great. So the next order of business is a presentation from Tim Jones, who is here. He is the program manager for infrastructure at Green Mountain Power. And the agenda includes several items, and I'll just turn it over to you. Is that okay?
Sure. Excellent.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I was here last summer getting permission from the board for us to do sort of a smaller project on Turkey Mountain Road, and I think that went well. So just big picture, I'm here probably one of 17 stops I'll be making over the next couple of months.
Only 17?
Only 17, but a lot of repeat business. So over the last couple of years, GMP's been actively planning and rebuilding much of its infrastructure in the region, especially Townsend, Wardsboro, Dover, below the dam, so to speak, working on that. And part of our initiative starting last fall is we have a 2-year window to essentially identify and rebuild and put into service rebuilt infrastructure between now and September of 2026, let's just say. So big construction season ahead of us this year and another big construction season next year. So we're focusing on 2 circuits. One of them is the EJ G7 or the East Jamaica G7, which encompasses Jamaica and some of your neighbors here. So that is one of our primary targets over the next couple of years, to pretty much get that entire circuit storm hardened with a combination of overhead rebuild of existing, and we're gonna propose to put a bunch of it underground on your dirt back roads. So right now we're doing work on Route 30. That usually happens under VTrans 1111 permits and so forth. I met with the fire company last month just to talk about some of the logistics as we serve the firehouse and move on through the village up Route 30, get rid of some of the cross-country line that goes up and hooks back around the South Hill and bring it roadside and get rid of that cross-country, again, more resilient, more reliable, faster to respond, easier to get to our plant. The bigger picture for undergrounding, where we really need the town's partnership and ultimately the permission, just naming 3 projects, Turkey Mountain Road in its entirety. So we basically have a plan to get all the way up to the top of our service territory on Turkey Mountain Road and predominantly put that line underground, save for select locations where we need to pop up and go overhead to cross open water or whatever other impediment that would prevent us from being underground. So part of our mission there will be to coordinate with Mr. Hazard and go out and ride these projects out, kind of look at the existing conditions out there and how we would propose to navigate underground, and how we would spell that out in an agreement for the town to get your permission. 2 other big targets, Pike Falls Road and West Jamaica Road. Certainly, there's paved aprons getting on up in there, but getting Pike Falls Road, the dirt portion, and West Jamaica Road, the dirt portion, to the border of Stratton. I'm actually on Stratton after I leave here tonight and dovetail and get the other ends of those. So that will basically, again, eliminate a couple of very, very challenging lines that we have that go on the back roads, but certainly have severe outage history, and that's really the calculus of how we look at things. Length of the line, number of customers served, outage history, say over the last 5 years, and together that's how we prioritize projects and get them to the top of the list, get them built. And we're already seeing dividends from that, what we've done over the last couple of years, and hopefully your winter was better than prior winters, but it's starting to prove itself out as we rebuild and start to storm harden a lot of this infrastructure and leaving some of those challenging areas behind So that's the sum of it, is really what we're going for is, zero outages is sort of the phrase that we're using for this program, and so that's the goal. So storm hardening overhead is rebuilding lines and putting them spacer cable, what you'd see basically down below the dam as you went down into West Townsend and all the way into New Fane. That's been entirely rebuilt. The underground would be a similar fashion to the way we did State Forest. The State Forest area, essentially from the Scott Covered Bridge, is now underground all the way to East Dover, to North Street and East Dover. So again, if you were to drive through there, you can certainly see some segments of overhead where we have to clear streams and some other things, but predominantly that is all underground now across that entire region. So be the same means and methods that we propose here for Pike Falls Road and West Jamaica Road. It's actually single phase, so probably a little bit quicker to go. Most of what we did down below the dam is all three phase, so a little bit lighter on the effort, but still same bang for our buck in terms of getting that underground. I think what we've witnessed over the last couple of years with all the damage that's happened up there, the road stayed. And I think we've observed it a couple of different times, last July, the prior July, and what we do is pretty much get 5 feet inside the road and actually bury our line in the road itself to a buried depth of 50, somewhere between 3 and 50 inches, 36 to 50 inches. So probably the single phase would be a little bit closer to the 3 foot buried depth, and we'd also put a spare conduit in the ground to encourage our joint utility partners to get underground with us and allow us to completely abandon these cross-country corridors altogether. So that's a little bit of a lag. Getting our comms partners typically takes a little bit more time. Our budgets are not completely in line, but GMP has the initiative, so we're taking the ball and we're going out and we're putting our infrastructure underground and leaving open a possibility for our utilities, joint utility partners to join us there as well. So that will be the end goal, is to completely get everybody underground, and in a few years' time have those cross-country corridors completely abandoned.
So I have a few questions about what you've shared already, or did you want to finish?
No, please do. I think what I would propose to do next is, again, ride these projects out with the road crew, look at the existing conditions out there and come to terms in terms of how we would navigate any of the challenges out there, and come back next month, which is next week, and we'll get back on the calendar with actual projects that I can submit with a written agreement similar to what we did for that Turkey Mountain Road segment last year, and come to that term and get the town's permission. And ideally, get into construction. June is when we're going to start our undergrounding season. We're probably going to be starting in Halifax this year, which is the other circuit that we're after. But we have a couple of machines, so we can actually work on a couple of fronts. So we propose to get going down there in June, and then later in June and in July start to fan out and get to some of these other communities, Jamaica being near the top of the list. So.
Okay. So you had mentioned in your email just a specific update on Turkey Mountain. Is there something more that you wanted to share?
No, just that you gave us permission to do that one segment last year.
So you don't have to re-ask for that?
No.
Okay.
So now we're basically above it and below it, up to 30.
I see, so you're
we did a little segment in the middle where we had
and that's done.
Poles. That's done.
Right.
And I believe to the town's satisfaction, so.
Okay. So for these projects, you're looking more like midsummer. It sounds okay.
But I'd like to get back in here in May, just to make sure that
for
we
planning.
have everything for planning purposes,
Right.
get everything in place, and then we'll have some flexibility. But yes, summertime for sure.
Okay. So, and Greg is more of the expert on this one point, but we undertook, you might know, a very significant project at the kind of end of the fall, which removed a tremendous amount of material out of the river, out of the Bald Mountain Brook, as part of our flood resilience program, and just as part of recovering from the 23 flood. Yeah, 23. What year is it again? And that material was placed on a number of roads, but 2 roads in particular that really benefited from it. and where we have seen a huge improvement is Pikes Falls and West Jamaica. So certainly when I heard 5 feet in, but even with 3 feet in, it's like, I just want to kind of raise that as obviously we would want to not lose the benefit of that work that has proven through this winter, quite frankly, to be extraordinary. I mean, we just did not see the kind of rutting and, right? I mean, it was like, honestly, it was like an 80% reversal. Like, I can't even describe how dramatic it was. And, you know, for our planning commission, it's also brought the roads into compliance with state regs. And so, you know, there's gonna be, at least with respect to those two, a little, and did Turkey Mountain also get treated? I can't remember. It did. And did you notice that?
It's mostly above us.
Oh, okay.
CJ mentioned that today. One of the other residents of Turkey Mountain Road was very happy with the work that you all did. She's way up.
Excellent.
They're almost the last.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the GMP work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did notice the roads today, by the way. I drove all through,
Yeah.
and I did notice that. Just to comment on that is our agreement. We'll be in Halifax tomorrow to get our next agreement in place with them, and it does spell out essentially following, you know, the VTrans 1111, that return to pre-existing conditions. So we go out there, observe the condition, document what we're seeing out there. And so our footprint is pretty narrow in terms of the trench. It's only a couple of feet wide. You know, the machine certainly tracks up the road, and then we refill that trench in several lifts, and then, you know, again, put the road surface back to the way it was. So pre-existing condition is obviously a broad term, but just agreeing what's there, what the quality of the road surface is, what the finished surface is going to be, how the town wants to see it, you know, coming out of the construction and so forth. So we've put material down in other cases. In some other cases, we've been able to, you know, basically feather the road back in, but certainly looking at bringing material in, but you know, minimum 3 foot depth is really where we need for our single phase, and
which we want. I mean, this is one of those, like, you don't say no, obviously, right? We're not going to say no. It's more just the material that's now there is of such a quality.
It was almost perfect, and the contractor that did it was able to roll the road and crown it properly and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Who was it?
Hunter
Excavator did it,
yeah, Londonderry, yeah.
So not to say that you wouldn't be able to do a good job, but it is a major, not concern, but something that we really want to watch closely to make sure that, you know, that road did really get put back and not, I mean, like you said, it's hard to define what pre-existing is and how perfect, what is perfect or not, even, you know, that kind of thing.
So we know that the roads get crowned, and then some towns flatten them for the winter and so forth. So just trying to get a sense of what we used MT3 quite a bit out in the state forest area, and our local contractor and so forth. So towns would ask us to actually do the grading ourselves. Some towns like to get involved with the finish grading to make sure it's to your liking, and something to work out, just talking to your road crew and how they'd like to see that executed.
Right, and if there's any concern about the like if you can't preserve the material, right, you have to bring in new material. I think it was, you know, if we could just, you know, kind of have a detailed understanding of how it was, how it arrived at the condition it did now, in an effort to ensure that it could be returned to this condition. Yeah. All right. And then, so the EJC 7, so that G7, sorry, G7. What does G stand for? I thought C was
Actually, not sure what the G
okay.
the nomenclature, but it's East Jamaica.
Right. So that's new poles, right, including off of Route 30, you're saying. So where there's still going to be poles, there are new poles, or did I follow it correctly?
Yeah, so if we were to rebuild, say, Pike Falls Road,
Right.
it would be rebuilt with new materials in its entirety. So where we're underground,
It's
the
underground.
overhead will come down, and then where we need to rise up and rise down, we'll put
So
new
you're
poles
also
up.
doing new poles?
Correct.
Okay.
But predominantly when we're burying, it's, let's just say 90% underground. Is that-
But only where it's dirt, so you don't take up the asphalt, or you might.
We'd stay overhead. So
Okay.
far right now, we have not ventured into the pavement. We've
Okay.
had some discussions with V-Trans about doing some projects there, but there's plenty to do
Right.
on the dirt and
Okay.
then transitioning to pavement, doing those rebuilds overhead. As well, then what we get there is a spacer cable, so it would trade either the bare copper wire you had out there or tree wire, where it would be have a steel messenger over the top of it with a conductor underneath it. So again, more hardened for tree strikes or more easily deflecting limbs or some of the little things that maybe knocked power out in the past, be quite a bit more resilient
Right.
under that condition. So brand new overhead would be that style, and then underground would be our direct bury cable and conduit, which is sealed, one conductor, so no joints, no building conduit. and
Right,
conductor
right.
through, so it just goes in
Yeah.
one piece seamless.
Very nice. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
A couple, I know we talked about it last year too, probably, and I just don't recall, but some of the other, like for culvert crossings and things like that, I think you had mentioned, if I recall, that those would be replaced. And some of it is figuring out timing on things for what our projects might be this year, either whether it be ditch work or things like that, in advance or after you guys are in there, knowing that some of the culverts are going to be replaced, or all of them that they cross.
So we've seen a couple of variations, but again, back to just meeting with the town and saying, okay, what do you got on the docket, for this season, where are you gonna be? Culverts typically, if they're all corrugated and the town hadn't gotten around to them yet, we, if the town wanted to provide the culvert and we put it in, we're gonna carry our own stock as well, so certain towns have been amenable to cutting through and then banding that last piece of culvert. Other towns say, if it's greater than X distance and you go through it, you gotta replace the whole thing. So it's, I think, really, again, just kind of a local flavor to how your road team likes to see the road put back together, and how we go about the culverts. But typically, we're gonna be under the culverts.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I know one of the blessings, so to speak, if there is one of all the flood damages, is a lot of the culverts have been updated, replaced, upgraded, and replaced over the past couple of years too. So it will probably come down to culvert, which method we use for.
We'll count them all up and basically just put a ledger together, everything that we're gonna encounter. And as we go, everyone that's currently a customer, we're just gonna pick up their service as it lies, so to speak. So we're not replacing individual services to customers' home unless they approach us and say, hey, while you're doing this, I'd like to contribute and have my service buried, or some variation on that theme. But typically, we're just going right down the road. Express and intercept is sort of the term that we're using to just go right up, replace the main line, and then just pick up everybody's services as they are.
Yeah. And do you see both of these projects being fully completed this summer, pending no other, so Pikes Falls and Turkey Mountain, Pikes Falls?
So each
and
one of the
West
machines that we put on the ground is capable, let's just say, 20 miles a year, 20 miles a season. So we're basically June to right before Thanksgiving is when our undergrounding season ends. And then we rebuild overhead all year round. So we have that 6-month window. So yes, these projects would be doable in one season. Or if the town wanted some relief, we could do one this year, one next year. But the mobilization of getting our whole,
Get it done.
the entourage here is usually it's great to come to an area, set up, do as much work as we can before we move on. And that's why I'm also trying to dovetail some things that we have going on in Stratton. Again, just trying to get some neighboring areas where we could share a laydown area or something to that effect, but just stay in the area until we get it socked away.
Anything else? Oh, Karen? Yeah?
Hi, I'm just wondering if you can tell us anything about the outages that keep happening in East Jamaica Wardsboro. There was just another one yesterday.
There was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tree.
I don't know if he knows about it. Do you know about it? Do you know how it happened?
Well, I know that people are getting a little sick over that way
Yeah.
of the power outages going out. It's from south of the electric thing that you have by Coda.
Oh, our
That line that
substation,
goes
so it's
down.
going back towards Rossendale.
No, it goes
Oh,
down
yeah.
towards
South.
Ward
Yeah,
Town,
that was
South,
Rossendale,
yeah.
back towards
Yeah.
town.
but it happens quite frequently.
Okay.
Yesterday was a tree fell on the line
Yeah,
in the wind.
for a few hours we've had.
Yeah.
Was it windy down here yesterday?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
very
Yes, very.
And I know you guys have been doing some work along there, but it sounds like you aren't familiar with that.
I know that we had outages yesterday, but I could look into that specific one. But ultimately, like I was saying in my sort of preamble, the remedy should be less and less outages over time. So I can look into that. You can send a note back to the town and say,
That would be
this
great.
was the forensics on this outage has happened, duration, number of customers.
Okay.
And again, that's kind of how we back into doing new projects when we see that type of trends. So that's why we're here.
Okay, that's good. I think people along that route would
Were they all
want to
kind
know
of just
what's happening.
not cool? I mean, they were just random, so to speak, or I mean, obviously one
Oh,
yesterday was
It
a
happens
tree.
quite often,
Yeah.
and it affects the Wardsboro store. They
Right.
have to close.
But I mean,
that
if you
up.
can identify it was a tree, I wasn't sure if it was just gremlins or not, whatever.
Right, is it random
Is it
causes
random?
or
Is
is
there
it
breaking
always
up?
a tree down?
Wind and things like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a picture of that cigarette on the wire.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I was just in Wardsboro last week and Townsend, so again, communities will still be revisiting, so we haven't completed everything we
Right.
plan on doing. So again, incremental improvement, but there's still some.
I was just
milestones,
wondering if
so.
you knew what the plan was to along through there.
I can look at it, once I look at where the exact outages, and I can just communicate. back.
Perfect.
And the new poles.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
So like the new pole would have prevented that? Do you know the higher poles?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and it's just not there yet. So, yeah, that's
I
that.
was looking for a timeline or
Right.
where they're at, that's all.
I can
Thank you for
provide.
bringing that
some-
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank you to GMP for doing, I mean, it was about 3 hours that we were out, which, could have been a lot worse. So we appreciate it.
3
Any
hours
other
of
questions,
grass.
Karen?
No,
Anything else?
that's it.
No, that was
That's
it? Anybody, Paul?
I'll make one.
Oh, Sarah.
I have a quick question. Should I call them cables or wires or something else?
Wire.
Okay, I need to change my words then.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it doesn't feel like it should be spring yet because I haven't had as many outages as I have.
Here, here.
Yeah,
That's so
really.
true. That's so true.
It was a long one.
Oh.
There are a few people, I don't know if anybody,
Oh,
if they had questions.
is anybody raising their hand?
No. Anybody on Zoom have questions or comments on this right here?
I see someone shaking their
John,
hand.
okay, thank you, John. CJ, thank you.
Everything's good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much. You'll be coming
Thank you.
back
I will
for
be coming
specific
back.
approval, right?
Sometime in the
Right.
next week or so, I'll ask for my next appearance.
Okay.
And come back, and ahead of time, I'll get maps and, but we gotta go do some windshield ride-outs.
So
Yeah.
you'll reach out to Keith?
Yes.
Or you could reach out to me, but I'll be in contact with Keith too.
So we have a construction management company as well, that's gonna be representing us out in the field, this year. They started late last year working for us, and so, those will also be our agents out in the field. So we'll put them together with the road department as well, cause that'll be the first point of contact when we're out here if anything, goes amiss. I'm always available, obviously, but we'll put names and faces together, and here's who's here, and here's who we can contact. But just wanna get that in the bag before we come back to the town that we've talked to Keith, and we've ironed out any sort of questions, and
Right,
we'll go from there.
Perfect.
great. Thank you very much for coming
Great,
back.
off the stretch.
You're invited to stay if you want. No, you certainly don't need to.
If you were the highlight, I wouldn't be surprised. Get any better than that.
Exactly. Obviously of intense interest to the town.
All right, enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next order of business is I'm going to give a quick update on the town clerk search. So, interestingly, unlike back in 2023, we have a plethora of qualified resumes that have come in. I'm doing an initial culling, but it's very high level. So when you put out a job application like this, you will get a number of resumes that are like people who are in a completely different field, clearly not actually applying for this, but they need to demonstrate that they're, searching for a job. So I've done that, and then those that are not that, but they're not, their background or, what have you, skill set it just doesn't match up to our needs. Even having done that, and there were another 7 that came in over the weekend. So with that, my estimate is we're gonna have at least 10 qualified people to do phone interviews with. And then we as a board will have quite a few. So where I am the long pole in the tent is I have not finalized the committee, which is gonna have to review these resumes and the job description. So I'm putting just sort of raising it again. I am gonna continue to be asking people. I think we need 2 more citizens that aren't occupying another role on the board. Thank you for all those who have volunteered.
To be on the hiring committee.
It's a search committee. Right, we are in effect the hiring committee, but they need to vet the job description. It's not a lot of work. The job description is done, and it's not that, it's a town clerk position, so.
Interesting.
It is.
Fun.
It's a great job, and this is a great town. And also just to, review the resumes and make sure that we're really focusing on the right ones. And if anybody's willing to do some phone calls, great. If not, it's all right.
Maybe CJ.
She got that.
Oh, did she drop off? Yeah, please. Would you actually? Because I do need another citizen. Okay, great. So if anybody's watching this and is willing, it's really basically going to be 2 meetings. The first meeting is going to be going over the job description and a first review of the resumes. And the second one will be to finalize the job, just to approve it as final for submitting to the board, and then come up with the final list of resumes to be pursued and to recommend to the board. So it's just 2 meetings and reading a bunch of resumes and reading a job description. So it's a completely manageable project. And it's interesting. You'll take part in staffing a very critical role that everybody in town interacts with. So that's my update on the town clerk search. Any questions at this point? No, doesn't look like it. So this is a short, substantive agenda. So I'm gonna go straight to timesheets. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the timesheets for the town office, the listers, highway crew, and the transfer station attendant.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The next is the pay orders. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the pay orders as presented by Sarah.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, John Q. Public. Oh,
I don't know if John,
does anybody it's a short agenda tonight, so we have plenty of time for public concerns. We always do, but. Did you want to raise anything to the board?
John, did you want?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Jessica. I had emailed Sarah last week just to say that, after I attended a meeting in the fall, my last one, I had some thoughts about the, potential ongoing project of replacing that bridge over the West River down to the park on Depot Road. And so I sent along some thoughts on that. And I also told her that, finally I've gotten rid of a ongoing conflict so that I might be able to attend a few more of these meetings on a regular basis. And because I I do want to try to stay more involved in what's going on in the town. Karen and I have had many discussions over the years about, just sort of ideas about the town, and I do care a lot about the town, so I just wanted to, you know, be a little bit more involved.
So
But I
John, did you
didn't-
see my
yeah.
response? Did you get my email response?
You
I
know what?
responded to you
If
right away.
I I I know that I'm not sure that I did see anything else.
Okay, and you saw my response. So, first of all, your note was so, thoughtful and, with an accompanying plan. I was deeply impressed and moved by your interest, that level of interest and care. So, that's, when I see that, I have a full-time job other than this. So you should understand that I really appreciated that, and that's why I responded right away
Okay.
with a somewhat detailed response. So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at what I sent to you.
Okay. I'm sorry that I somehow had missed
Yeah, can you confirm that you received it, actually? I just want to make sure. Sarah and Greg were copied. They each got it. So if you didn't get it, I think we need to figure out why that is.
Hold on just one second. You sent it today, I presume, or?
No, when did I send it? Yes,
Oh,
just
that's,
today. Oh, it was this morning. I'm sorry, it was like a crazy day.
Yeah.
It was this
today,
morning.
Because I wasn't here last week.
I've been away all week, so
Right.
I came in, I just read everything.
hold on just one second, and let me see if I can track this thing down, because you know what, Jessica, I do see it.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry about that.
Good.
I get so inundated with emails.
I hear you. So,
But anyway, for a number of reasons, it's not feasible to leave the historic bridge in place and have a second adjacent bridge, chief among those town be. Yeah, that was the thing I was worried about, and that was why I had mentioned that, maybe because it qualifies as being placed on the National Register of Historic Places, that there might be some funding available. I mean,
oh,
actually, Washington is cutting back on all funding to anything at this point, but I didn't know whether, some other funding might be available. I certainly understand
right,
long-term.
that was looked into and it doesn't qualify, even
Oh,
when there is funds, unfortunately.
okay.
And yeah. And it couldn't remain in the same place and still be the bridge that we need. What I didn't go into at length in your email, but
Yeah.
what you would see what I suggested was to watch the meeting, the
Yeah.
last meeting, because all of these topics were well discussed, and I would want you to have the benefit of the experts talking rather than me summarizing them.
Sure.
It's definitely worth a watch. It also includes you'll see their plan, and in fact, I could probably send you. I think we actually did receive the most recent survey and plan, or was it just
should be-
shown?
Well, the presentation, I think, Sarah, you had posted on our website, so the
Oh,
V-Trans
yeah.
presentation from last week. And they we
Yeah.
asked them to come back to us with some additional alternatives. We
Right.
felt that it was pretty limited. They gave us a choice of A or B. And so that meeting and that presentation is scheduled for our next meeting. So if they stay on their timeline, we should see more.
Right.
There's a lot of concerns. I mean, I think almost probably everybody in this room would love to see that bridge stay there too. That there's a lot of restrictions on what can and can't and be funded and things like that. So I would agree with Jessica to say dig back in a little bit and certainly join us on future meetings. It is a slow process, which is good and bad, but the good part is that we see a lot of alternatives and we see or are able to participate in a lot of the things going forward too.
Right, you're not too late.
Yeah, right.
Right. If you're genuine, based on the detail of your note and drawing, it strikes me that you'll, just watching the last presentation and reviewing the presentation that was shared with us by V-Trans, will be something you would enjoy doing,
Yeah.
presumably, and having your the results of your study of those materials and your participation in the next meeting I can only imagine would increase the depth of our understanding and just appreciating the nuances more than we would as non-experts. So if you're willing to do that, we would appreciate it.
I am, Jessica. Thank you. And I'll definitely get back to you after I have taken a look at things.
Perfect. Thank you. Because also the other thing is, if coming off of that, you have specific, bullet points that we could socialize with V-Trans in advance, that would, I think, be a powerful way to, just drive that meeting. Get us closer to a decision. All of that. I find pre-work really helps in a meeting like that, and I know that they would appreciate it. V-Trans is very, they're not resistant at all. I mean, and a lot of times people don't look that carefully at what they produce, and they work very hard at it. So someone with your set of eyes and your level attention to detail, I would predict they'll really appreciate it.
Well, okay. Hopefully, I'll see what I can do. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it. Is anybody else?
Nobody else.
Okay, what have you got?
Oh, not a whole lot.
Jamaica Day.
Jamaica Day, August 16th. The 15th, 16th, and 17th will be the Civil War reenactment group that will be here. So we're just having monthly meetings at this point. We also are trying to find ways to bring community together. And during the summer months, Nancy Jean Henry and her band, the Buzzards, they practice on the Jamaica House porch on Wednesday nights, same night as pizza at the store. And we thought it might be nice to start setting up tables, bring your own card table and a couple of chairs, and we'll keep extending the table in front of the Jamaica House along the sidewalk there. And if we have to, we'll go across the street or whatever. But we're hoping to maybe pull people together, purchase some stuff at the store, or bring potluck, either way. But we thought that would be a nice thing to do to bring community together.
So Wednesday nights.
Wednesday nights.
Okay.
It's not starting yet.
Yeah, she's not that.
Each Wednesday or every other Wednesday?
We'll see how it goes.
Right.
We're not exactly sure, so.
Can we go back to the reenactment though as we
Yes,
get closer?
I'm sorry.
What do you envision a day like, and how do people participate? I'm getting a little bit of questions around that.
So they're about to send me an itinerary, but they will have, just below the History Museum, there's a field and a field across the street, and they will be occupying both of those fields. There will be a medical group, probably 2 different surgeons who will be there with body parts, and they will be showing you, how they did
Surgical
things.
tools and all that
Exactly.
from the
The
era.
saws and everything, how they maybe helped. I don't know how much, they had for pain relief, giving people
Pain relief.
whiskey or something like that.
Yeah, right.
But, maybe
Leather strap.
they had something that would knock them out, but maybe not, I don't know, I can't remember. But they had a lot of information. There'll be a whole display of different outfits that were worn, different uniforms and things that people did.
So people can park in town and how does it,
They'll be parking in town, probably in my field also,
okay.
and then walk into the village. We're going to have food vendors will be up on the upper end. River and Rye, our restaurant, will be open by then.
Okay.
And they should be open in a month or so.
Okay.
And we're looking forward to that. But they will be, I think, serving some food and be open that night. And we'll have pizza and northern Sun Mercantile will be having chicken barbecue.
Okay,
Brattleboro will be here. Forrest and Tara at the store will be
Perfect.
doing hamburgers and hot dogs.
okay.
We're having a parade going through. And,
Who's in the, is it, how is that working? Like,
well, I'm hoping the select board will all get together and dress up. And,
okay, and period close?
yes, that would be great.
Ooh, you can rent those.
Yes, you
You
can.
can. You're gonna make it?
Oh, wait, I will not be.
I don't know, I have to think about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
The Civil War reenactment group will be putting on some different displays. They'll have a candlelight service at some point over the evenings. There will be some shooting and some cannons, which I had mentioned before.
Yeah.
And not real, of course, but
Right.
still it's loud. And they will let us know exactly what time the cannons will be going off so that we can make that known, so people.
so there'll be a calendar kind of thing that lays out the 3
Yes.
days?
Yep.
Great, okay.
And Civil War era music.
And music, and there'll be people with quilts, there'll be all sorts of different displays. On the right-hand side, heading down, will be the officers, and then on the other side will be the surgeons and the folks who followed the troops. Sometimes families would be there, nurses, sometimes people just.
Snake oil salesman?
Yeah, exactly. So, it'll be fun, it'll be a lot of
Yeah,
fun. They're trying to see if they can get a Confederate group to come, and if they do, we could have a skirmish.
Okay. Yeah, but there's,
But we're
right, you gotta find someone. So it's not like there's tickets?
No tickets,
Nothing,
it's all
okay.
free.
I got that
and
question, right,
open for the
okay.
public.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're really looking
Yeah,
forward
it's
to
gonna be
it.
great, it's gonna be great.
And we are working
Wonderful.
on the Civil War, the stone to honor the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, and the Civil War. And there's well over 200 folks who are on that. And they will be honored. There will be a ceremony for that also.
Great.
Yeah, many people in town related to all those folks.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is amazing.
so we're really looking forward to it and it'll be good. But we're doing fundraising, so if you'd like to donate, the stone is quite a bit. My stepson Wesley is going to donate the stone and install it, which is nice. That saves us
But it has to
a
be
lot of money.
engraved.
But the plaque will be a bronze plaque and
Okay.
it's more.
So how are donations
We're
made?
about to put something out.
Okay. Is it the kind of thing where there can be a link that can go on the website? Or,
Probably. It'll
okay.
be through
Yeah.
Facebook.
okay,
A Facebook.
you'll push it out to Facebook.
Mhm.
But it's nice if it's on a website because then it's a fixed
Yes.
link.
It
So,
is.
we can
We'll
take
do
a
that.
vote if we want to, but when the time comes, come back. And, we would want to put it, on the website.
Okay.
And it's kind of an obvious place for it, if people are
Right,
like,
it is, that's right.
instead of having to hunt and search for the Facebook
Yeah.
page and post,
And not everybody uses.
not everybody uses Facebook.
Right, I know.
And
So
if
we'll
it's
have to get it out there
if there's a
otherwise.
QR code,
Mhm.
then that we can post in physical locations,
Oh,
like the
nice.
post office and here.
Good.
Yes, Jessica, I've got another question in that regard, actually. Does the town ever send out emails to all of the township? All the, all the, all the-
No,
Is that something you guys don't want to do?
it's,
I think it would be great.
there are a variety of reasons why it is not done. Towns don't do it. Towns are, by statute, our official communications are all by mail. That's how we make official communications. And everything that the select board does is subject to open meeting law. So we can't have, as a select board, communications with citizens by email, where a quorum of the members of the select board are on the same chain, because then it becomes a meeting. So there's a host of reasons why electronic mail does not work within the confines of municipal law in the state of Vermont. And I will say, I actually did an informal poll of towns in other states. They don't do it either. Emails change frequently. It's very difficult to know whether you've met, with respect to, for example, official communications by mail of the town, which is mainly your tax bill. There is a very rigorous process the town follows. Karen is a part of that. Sarah's a part of that. And we follow those rules, and by following those rules, the municipality is insulated from any challenge to whether we have made the appropriate level of effort to communicate. So email does not fit in that, unfortunately. We have had in the past private citizens host like digital periodicals, and that's perfectly fine, but not under the auspices of the town.
I just thought that, not necessarily to conduct official business, but just.
It doesn't matter, it becomes official business if the select board members are copied, by definition. It automatically becomes subject to open meeting law.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's also public records.
And it's
Anyone that
public
requests that list, you have to give it to them.
Right.
So that's the main reason I've always been
Right.
against it, because that means everyone's email you have, if somebody says, I want your email list, you have to give it to them because it's public record.
And if there's any kind of correspondence back and forth, that's also subject to FOIA. So Sarah or whomever's, in that role as town clerk would literally have to compile all of that correspondence and deliver it to whomever made the request. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay. I'll think about that one.
Karen, something else?
I had another thing, a community quilt is being done. It's $25 and it will buy your family a personalized square. This will be probably displayed in the town hall, if that's all right with the select board at some point. We have one in there that's older, and it would be nice to update
Right, I love
that and whatnot. So we're having a sew-in.
I saw the sew-in. How is the donation made? Do you want to
I
push that
have
to
another
Sarah?
lady who is doing that.
Can she push it to Sarah so she can put up a link?
Sure,
No?
we can do that. Okay.
How many, is there a limit to how many squares?
No, we'll just make smaller squares or
Okay.
a bigger quilt.
Okay. Do you mind, Sarah? No. Okay. Just because I remember seeing that and it's gone. Do you know what I'm saying? And I know for sure my kids will kill me if we don't buy a square. So.
May 18th at 1 o'clock, we're going to be at the town hall and we will be sewing. There will be sewing machines, or you can cut, you can do all sorts of things.
Yes, those of us who hand sew.
Or just visit.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up is FEMA and the lack of FEMA that it looks like we'll be having if we have a flood. So I'm just wanting people to be aware of that,
Going forward, the fact that it will become more likely that less disaster, it will be more of a challenge to be declared a disaster.
Exactly.
To summarize real quickly. It's
Um,
not happened for
which-
sure, but it's very likely.
Well, and hopefully we don't get a flood this year.
Right.
You know, if we do, it could be very tough on the town to come up with enough money to fix all of that, and knowing that we aren't getting reimbursed for it, so. Anyway, just wanted to make people aware of that.
Do you want it to end on that happy note?
No, we can think of something.
No, of course,
Wait,
of
I have
course.
something.
Oh, good. Oh.
I would like to say a huge thank you to Greg Jolly for helping me get all this excess garbage out
I
of this
just
room.
saw it.
So thank you, Greg. You're
Thank you,
awesome.
Greg.
Yay.
Wow.
Now we
Yes, amazing. Thank you, Greg. And Sarah.
Great.
Yeah, huge. Anything else? All right, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.